Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. And another heavyweight news and notes mashup video today, starting with Filip Hrgovic, who seems to have reunited with his former trainer Pedro Diaz. Hrgovic, he had gone to Ronnie Shields for one fight, which was the Zhang Jilei fight, which he won in a very close and hotly contested fight. Some people thought Zhang won, but obviously Filip Hrgovic has decided that the grass is not necessarily greener on the other side. So in recent weeks, he's been working with Pedro Diaz in his gym in Miami, and here is just a few little clips of him working with Diaz, and as you can see, different posts from Pedro Diaz's Instagram. Also, currently sparring with Raphael Akpejiori, or had been. This is at the end of 2022. Hrgovic doesn't have a fight at the moment. He is the IBF mandatory challenger. When that fight with the current holder, Alexander Usyk, or whoever holds the belt at the time, will be held, unclear. The IBF did call that fight, but it's gone a little bit quiet in recent weeks. Raphael Akpejiori, who had been due to face Aslanbek Makhmudov in December, he pulled out of that one, no real reason given. He is due to be facing a journeyman, Dal Long, and that will be later this month, the 21st of January. So, decent sparring for Hrgovic and also for Akpejiori with his upcoming fight. But, Diaz and Hrgovic reunited. I'm not sure how I feel about it because from his amateur days, he seems to have lost some of that fluency, and some of his skills in different areas seems to have regressed as he's tried to just become a right-handed dominant power puncher, which I'm not sure that's all you can really have as you climb up and get to the top of the heavyweight division. But make of it what you will. Diaz and Hrgovic reunited. Justis Huni, he will avoid having surgery on his injured hand, and you can see here from the Australian Daily Mail, Justis Huni receives major injury boost as Australian boxing talent eyes swift return to the ring amid talks with veteran heavyweight Lucas Browne. And I said a few months ago that could be a possibility for this year, a fight with Lucas Browne. Huni has sort of been cleaning up the local scene, but we'll just go through the points in a couple of quotes because there's a couple of concerning things for me. So it says Justis Huni will avoid hand surgery, and a huge boost for the boxing talent. The 23-year-old injured his knuckles during his bruising win over Kikito Letelli. He also is expected to have he was expected to have a quiet 2023, but received a significant boost. Huni's manager says the prodigious talent wants to fight Lucas Browne. And it goes on to say he's avoided surgery, yada, 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 and he will be back. So, longtime manager Mick Francis confirmed to AAP that the 23-year-old's hands had healed well, and he would return to full sparring sessions soon. Francis says they would steer away from using the less protective horsehair gloves Huni wore against Leotelli that contributed to the damage. His hand's fine and will look at different gloves, mix things around. They get sore after each fight, but only for a week or two, and sort of come good again. The doctors have had a look and don't quite understand it. Well, I think many of us would understand it. You've got a guy who's got noted hand problems that put him out of the Olympics because he injured his hand, and then you're giving him gloves that don't have much protection, that are puncher's gloves. So of course he's going to get sore hands because he already has issues with his hand. And you're giving him horsehair gloves, puncher's gloves, and Huni has been trying to fight like a puncher. And I'm sorry, but he's not a puncher. That's even evident wearing the puncher's gloves, and he can't really put a dent in some of these opponents as he climbs up the sort of levels in terms of opponents. He's facing guys at a pretty decent level for the number of fights that he's got, but he's not a knockout artist, but they have him fighting like some sort of entertainment machine, throwing a lot of punches, trying to really sort of let his hands go and knock guys out, but he doesn't have the pop to get it done. He is effectively Joseph Parker 2.0, a guy that's got good skills, good speed, but he doesn't have that knockout punch. And it's becoming pretty evident. And the thing is, they already know that he's not a huge puncher, and they're putting him with puncher's gloves, with less protection, and he's got hand injuries. That's mismanagement of the highest order. That's literally putting their fighter at risk. And I've speculated before, part of the reason he's fighting the way he is, with that sort of all-action style that he's been employing in recent fights, is because they're trying to build him up to the Australian audience. They're trying to make him look exciting. His promoter, Dean Lonergan, is a former promoter of Joseph Parker, who brought Parker up with David Higgins in those early days. They're following a very similar sort of roadmap. The problem being, the opposition is so much better for Huni earlier in his career compared to Parker, but they're putting these expectations that he has to go in there and try to blast his opponents out. One, he is getting injured in these fights, say with his hand, because he's wearing puncher's gloves. But two, they're not looking out for his best interest because he's fighting a style that he's not necessarily going to dominate at a much higher level, but also he's taking a lot of punches. His defense has been super leaky. He landed roughly 200 punches against Joe Goodall, but he ate 150 in return. And with a guy that's already had, injury issues, but also there was that weird concussion thing. I mean, red flags all around here. Seriously. Moving on, Frank Warren says that he doesn't really care about what Anthony Joshua is doing in 2023. He says, of that potential fight that never happened in December, he never had a trainer. So how was he ever going to do the fight? He never had a trainer. He's obviously hunting for a trainer. He may have found one. I have no idea. I don't really care, to be honest. We've got our plan. And of Joshua, he says the obvious question, is he going to figure in it? And that's Fury's plans. I can't really see him figuring. Tyson is in his next couple of fights, that's for sure. Tyson's a bit pissed off with what went on and the time we wasted. So we are really where we are with that. But if Joshua wants to fight Joe Joyce or Daniel Dubois, we'll do those in a heartbeat. And I'm sure they would. Daniel Dubois, though, is out for at least 6 months. But Joe Joyce, he's a guy that is really looking for a big fight. He's just had one against Joseph Parker. He wants to solidify that, build on that. And Joyce is saying he's not surprised Joshua doesn't talk about him. He says, it's not a surprise because when does Joshua mention my name? Apart from when I was in the Olympics, soon as I turned pro, he didn't mention my name or Eddie Hearn. If you're not with us, you're against us. And I don't have millions of followers like Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury yet. Maybe it's because I don't have enough followers. If people want to see it, let's make it happen. I guess it just needs to be built up, and when he has no choice but to fight me, he will fight me. But it's a big fight. Olympic gold versus Olympic silver. Maybe the medals could be swapped. I think I'm more deserving. He's not gun-shy, but he's apprehensive about being knocked out because he's been knocked out a few times. He prefers to be on the back foot and out of danger. It will tell when we see the rematch with him and Dillian Whyte, because in the Dillian Whyte fight, he was getting hit with big shots. He was wobbling on his feet, but still coming forward. Something obviously changed after the Ruiz loss, but he's still a good fighter, and there's plenty of interesting fights for him, and I'd like to fight him as well. Fortunately for Joyce, I do not see it happening. Sometime heavyweight Oscar Rivas has a detached retina. So we knew it was an eye injury of some description which put him out of that fight against F.A. Ajagba, but it is a detached retina. Rivas has had various eye problems over the course of his career, and it's a real shame because that has prevented different fights happening for him in the United States, getting sanctioned, all that sort of stuff. But now he had to pull out of this fight with Ajagba, which was a real 50-50. He'd been down at cruiserweight, not up to, not cruiserweight, bridgerweight, the sort of wasted division, but he had been coming back to the heavyweight division for the Ajagba fight. But now, not only is he not having that heavyweight fight, he has had that heavyweight or bridgerweight title stripped from him. So the WBC has vacated the title, saying his future at this time is uncertain. The WBC will order a series of fights to fill the vacant title and set the mandatories for the new champion. So poor old Oscar Rivas. Don King's upcoming card on January the 21st, which I wasn't even really sure if it was happening because I haven't seen anything on Don King's website. But on social media from his Instagram, live from the Casino Miami, Don King Productions presents Let Freedom Ring featuring Jonathan King Guidry vs. Bermane Stiverne. And this is now actually the main event. Lungu Makabu was actually meant to be the main event versus a mandatory, no longer happening. So Guidry versus Stiverne has been elevated. Bermane Stiverne, 44 years old now, has not won a fight since 2015. And Jonathan Guidry, he was just randomly found by Don King. He's been on a couple of cards. He's actually not too bad. I guess he is the definition of a good, gritty, sort of durable club fighter. But at this point, with Stiverne being washed, I think Guidry could win this one and potentially beat him up and stop him. In his last fight, he had a really entertaining scrap with Takari Scott, also on a Don King card. So I'm favouring Guidry in this one, if it in fact goes ahead. And Kevin Lerena has posted that some fight news coming soon, hopefully, saying, hopefully some fight news coming. How we navigate now is the most important thing. Noise was made. Let's see what opportunity presents itself. #the return. And I did wonder, will Frank Warren, given some of the murky circumstances against Daniel Dubois, the short round, the referee jumping in at lightning speed when Lerena was hurt, but not the same for Dubois, will Frank Warren feel that he has to have a bit of a make-good fight? And if so, what that would be if it were to occur? Would he be offered Joyce? But would he be able to fight Joyce for the interim WBO title coming off a loss? Maybe something else, but if it's not with one of the big promoters, it may just be some return fight in South Africa against a fighter we probably don't care about. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.